2010, venture capitalist Joe Lacob and his team of investors bought the Golden State Warriors. They paid $450 million for the team, which at the time was deemed wildly excessive. Is that fair to say?
A lot of people thought they were crazy.
Yeah, you know, it was a team that hadn't won the NBA championship since 1975, struggled sort of season after season to get into the playoffs as well. So, but where others saw risk, Lacob saw opportunity, a startup masquerading as an underperforming basketball team, if you like. The investment was quite a good one, as it's now worth $2 billion.
Something like that.
The Warriors are the reigning NBA champions. They've broken records galore over the past couple of years. And they've become famous not just for winning games, but the way they win games as well. Of course, at the heart of that is the irrepressible point guard Steph Curry, who has become a genuine global superstar as well. He's pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah, I wish I could take credit for how well he plays, but unfortunately I have literally nothing to do with it.
So Lacob, he tore up the handbook when it came to traditions of running the NBA team, and he also quite literally tore down some structures as well.
Yeah.
Golden State HQ.
Yep.
He tore down the middle wall and made an open plan office so that everyone from different departments could sort of discuss ideas and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And if you don't know who Joe is, he's a venture capitalist. He spent over 20 years at Kleiner Perkins and made a lot of great investments as Kleiner Perkins did. And so when he bought the Warriors, him and our ownership group, you know, he really wanted to run the team like a startup in a way. And so when he saw our office, he noticed that there are walls everywhere and offices they didn't have glass anywhere. And so one of the first things he did is he renovated the entire office and he put glass in every office and conference room. Because for him, transparency is a really big thing. I mean, that's a big reason why businesses succeed, is when you have that kind of transparency internally. And so that was one of the big things, and it really changed the entire culture internally, was that this isn't going to be run like a typical sports team where there's a really rich owner who, you know, just owns the team and that's all he does. Like, Joe's involved. You know, he comes to the office. He's there. I mean, not only does he come to games, but he also, you know, he shows up to the office and as part of meetings and things like that. So from that point forward, I only joined 2 years ago, so I wasn't there in 2010 when he bought the team, but a lot of my colleagues were there, and they said the difference of Joe and our ownership group has been, it's been absolutely unreal.
Now, Dennis Mannion, the CEO of Detroit Pistons, described Golden State Warriors as having a phenomenal bullpen of talent. So that's quite a compliment.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think I just got called a bull, but I'll let it slide.
So when people think about digital and sports teams, I think a lot of people would just think about social media. I mean, and NBA is probably one of the leaders in terms of sports and the way they handle social media, but your role is digital initiatives lead. So I think it goes a little bit beyond that. So what's sort of the difference between just sort of the social media approach and then a wider digital approach?
Yeah, I mean, for us, social is one part of digital. So the way we look at it is digital is 4 pieces. It's web, so warriors.com and everything that you see through our web properties. It's social and everything that we do through our social channels. It's email, so all email communication, and then mobile. And so social is obviously a really big piece of that, because it's the way that we find ourselves communicating with our fans in the most unique ways. But it's just one part of it. You know, social isn't just digital. Digital is a much bigger piece of the puzzle. And so for us, it's really important to note that digital is much bigger than just social media. Social media is a really important part of it, but it's something much bigger than that as well.
So in terms of digital products, obviously, you're in quite an exciting area, being in the Bay Area. There's a lot of sort of innovation that goes on there. How do you think that helps you, and how is that reflected in what the Golden State Warriors have been doing over the past few years?
Well, honestly, I think it's one of our biggest competitive advantages. I mean, the fact that we have Google, Facebook, Apple, Twitter, YouTube, Yahoo, I mean, IBM, Cisco, all these companies are literally, you know, 10 to an hour away from our arena. And so not only are we working with a lot of these companies directly, but a lot of their executives actually come to our games as well. So, I always joke around, the LA Lakers, you have celebrities like Jack Nicholson and Floyd Mayweather and all these guys who come in and go to games and sit courtside. For us, we have tech celebrities. So it's like Drew Houston, the CEO of Dropbox, or like Jack Dorsey or Sheryl Sandberg. Those are the kind of people that are coming to our games. So for us, it's a huge advantage that we really don't take for granted. I mean, we're working on some really interesting things with Google and Apple and Facebook and Twitter, and I talk to them, if not on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, because what other NBA team has that kind of proximity where I don't have to call them, I could literally just drive and meet with them, or they can just come to one of our games. So to have that advantage has been absolutely huge. And something you mentioned earlier is about the league itself. I think the NBA is the most progressive when it comes to thinking about digital and technology. I mean, one of the things that Adam Silver, who's the commissioner of the NBA, one of the things that he did is, all of these clips on Vine and on Twitter and Facebook are being shared. And the way the league looks at that is marketing. Other leagues will say, no, that's copyrighted content, take it down. But what the NBA sees it as a marketing opportunity. And so when you have that kind of mindset at the very, very top at the league level, it enables us as teams to really embrace it and really take that and run with it.
So what do you think makes the Warriors the leading digital innovators in the NBA? What do you think is different? What sets you apart from the other teams?
I think there's a few things, but one is ownership. So if you look at our ownership group, besides Joe, you have a lot of people who have made their wealth in tech. Whether it's venture capitalists, whether it's Chad Hurley, who's the founder of YouTube, or Nick Swimmern, who's the founder of Zappos. These guys are part of our ownership group. So the expectation starts from there. And then on the other side, our fans. I mean, our fans expect us to be doing things with technology that no other teams are doing because of our geography, again, because a lot of our fans are these guys from the tech companies and the industry. So whenever we're testing any new technology, our fans really embrace it because they're used to testing tech at their day job, and then they come to a Warriors game and it's kind of an extension of that. So for us, I think that's one of the big reasons why we've been successful on the technology side, is because the expectation is there and it's on us to deliver that expectation and create that experience.
Obviously, the great performances on the court have led to more fans wanting to watch the Warriors.
Yeah.
So you're moving to a new arena in 2019.
Yep.
From a digital perspective, have you been involved in any sort of the planning around the arena? And what sort of, if you can give us a glimpse into what sort of projects you've been working on around the arena?
Yeah, I mean, so 2019, we're going to be moving into a new home. It's going to be called the Chase Center. It's going to be, and what's unique about this is it's not just an arena. It's an 18,000 square foot arena, but it's also 500,000 square feet of commercial office space, a little over 100,000 square feet of retail. There's a park, there's a plaza. I mean, it's more than just an arena. It's really a destination. Or a theme park. I mean, we call it all these different kind of names. It's like the Disneyland of sports, in a way. But for us, we have to almost rethink our entire digital experience and strategy, because right now, if you go to our current arena, Oracle Arena, you only go there for Warriors games. But in this new venue, you're going to want to go there 365 days a year. Because one day it'll be a Warriors game. The next day you're going to want to go to lunch to one of our restaurants there. The next day you're going to want to go and hang out at the park and have a coffee meeting. Or you're going to want to go to, a concert. I mean, there's all these different things that are going to be happening that's beyond basketball. So if you think of the Warriors today, you think of us as a basketball team, which is what you should think of. We play basketball. But as we move towards this new venue, we're not going to be just a basketball team. We're really going to be a media and entertainment company that just happens to play basketball, but has all these other things that are a part of it, like the concerts and the retail and the office space and the park and the plaza and all these different moving elements. It's not just going to be about basketball. And so what that enables us to do is, in our current arena, we're using it as a testing ground. So these next 3 years that we're in Oracle Arena are really important for us, because the biggest fear for me and for a lot of people internally is that 2019 we move into this brand new building and we have no idea what we want to do or what the experience is going to be. So we're spending these next 3 years testing out a lot of things, from sound design and how the acoustics are going to be, to lighting into virtual reality and all these different technologies so that when we do move to the new building, we actually have an understanding of what we want to do and the kind of experience we want to create in 2019 and for many years beyond that.
Obviously, the lucky people who live in San Francisco can go and watch Warriors games live.
Yep.
But what about for those, for example, the fans, several Warriors fans here in the audience, I'm sure. What are you doing for the fans who live overseas in places like the Middle East or Europe and Asia, who really want to sort of feel like they're part of the team?
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, one of the things that the league itself has done a tremendous job is NBA League Pass. So this is the streaming product of the NBA where you can go for $6, I think $5 or $6 US, you can stream one game to getting the entire season and you can stream any game. So the NBA itself has done an amazing job of enabling the kind of consumption of the actual games. But from the Warriors side, one of the projects I've been really involved in has been virtual reality. And I was here yesterday when they were talking about virtual reality and a lot of things around that. And for me personally, you know, if you look at our venue right now, it holds 19,500 people. So that means only, you know, almost 20,000 people can actually come to one of our games. But we have millions of fans around the world, many who are in the room today, who will never be able to come to Oracle Arena or to the Bay Area and watch a game. So what are we doing as an organization to help enable those fans to experience the Warriors? So a big part of that is through social media. So we, in real time, are cutting up clips. So during a game, if there's a big play, our team is cutting up a clip and posting it to Facebook, Vine, Instagram, Twitter, so that you can still catch the game as if you were there. But the other thing is virtual reality. So earlier this year on opening night, we did the first ever live stream of a pro sports game in VR. So anyone who had a Samsung Gear VR could put on the headset and watch the game from courtside. And so for me, I think there's a huge opportunity, especially for our fans internationally, especially in Asia, that are never going to be able to come to a game, to put a VR device on and feel like they're sitting there courtside. And whether it's a subscription product where you pay, you know, $50 or $100 or however much money a year to get the VR streaming product or whatever it may be, there's a huge opportunity in my eyes with VR to really bring the fans closer to the action.
Nice. If you had to sort of look at all of the digital projects you've worked on, what would you say is the most successful thing that the Warriors have done? I'm sure there's been plenty.
I would say VR has been one of the big ones. I think that has been a really fun project to work on. The other thing that we've been working a lot on over the last few years is our mobile experience. So we look at our app, the Warriors app. If you don't have it, please download it. We look at it as the remote control to your Warriors experience. And so we realize that we can't really compete with ESPN or Yahoo or any of these huge publications when it comes to breaking news or things like that. But what we can compete with them on is the experience that we can create for Warriors fans. So a big emphasis for us has been the in-arena experience. So if you have the Warriors app, one of the big things we've been working on has been beacons. You guys know what beacons are? Yes? No? Good. So we have about 75 beacons throughout the arena that give you notifications based on where you are inside the building. So when you walk inside the building, you get a notification saying, "Welcome to Warriors Ground." When you go to the team store, by the team store, you get a notification saying, "Here's a special offer for the team store." And there's a special video message from one of our players saying, "Hey, I'm Harrison Barnes. Welcome to the team store. Here's today's offer." We also have them at the top of every escalator when you go to the upper bowl. And it says, "Hey, did you know that you can upgrade your seats?" And it directs you right within the app to upgrade your seats from the upper bowl to the lower bowl. So we've been doing a lot on the mobile side that's been really successful in really bringing our fans that in-arena experience that no other app can bring to you.
I think more importantly for me, actually, rather than the positives, I'd be interested to hear some of the things you've tried and that haven't quite worked out, because I think it's a really important part of digital innovation is that you're willing to try and fail, basically. And you have that atmosphere at the Warriors as well, right?
Yeah, again, it goes back to Joe and the ownership group and about running the team, you know, like a tech startup. You know, you move fast, you break things. It's okay to fail, but you have to learn from your failures. So one of the projects that we've done in the last few years has actually been Google Glass. So when Google Glass came out, we saw this as a really interesting opportunity to bring data and information closer to the fan and in a different way. I mean, to have that display right on your head, it gives you it makes you really rethink your strategy around what to do. So we saw a lot of people in the industry do, oh, well, watch this guy's perspective as he's dunking or things like that. And we looked at it and said, well, you can put a GoPro on and say, hey, look at his perspective. What can we do as the Warriors that's unique? And so what we did is we worked with our mobile development team and built a Warriors app for the Google Glass. And so it gave you real-time stats and play-by-play as you're watching the game. And so for us, it was a really interesting experiment. Of course, Google Glass didn't really quite take off as I think a lot of people were hoping or expecting, but it was a really interesting experiment for us to look at a whole new device and how do you change the experience? How do you change the behavior of the fan? So instead of having to take out your phone all the time, just look up to the right and you can get the same information. And so that was a really interesting experiment for us that, again, wasn't necessarily a huge success in terms of the actual product, Google Glass being a huge success, but we learned a ton, and we've taken a lot of that learning into how are we rethinking our entire mobile strategy.
Obviously, the guys who work sort of upstairs or behind the scenes are big into tech innovation. What about the players themselves? I mean, how sort of involved are they in sort of coming up with ideas, or how much they embrace the atmosphere at the Warriors?
Yeah, I would say that every one of our guys embraces technology. I mean, it's hard not to embrace technology when you live in the Bay Area because you're just constantly surrounded by it. But I know, I mean, most of our players have gotten involved in it in one way or another. So Steph Curry is now a co-founder of a startup called Slice. Klay Thompson works with a shot tracker app that tracks your makes and your misses, and it has a sleeve. Andre Iguodala is an investor. One of his companies just got acquired by eBay. Harrison Barnes has done interviews on TechCrunch, and he did a Product Hunt live chat. I mean, all of our guys, they're interested because they're constantly around it. And I think we've done a really good job as an organization of, again, that culture of making it really accessible. So technology is a huge part of not only the front office, but I think for our players as well.
Do you think that can almost work? Is it a carrot that's dangling in front of players who might be thinking, where should I move next? And they see, you know, all these players with potential opportunities to create businesses that they can then go on and continue after they've retired. And is that sort of an attraction, as well as obviously having a championship-winning team on the court?
So I think it was about a year ago, Andre Iguodala was doing an interview, and he mentioned that one of the reasons he wanted to come and play for Golden State was because of our location and his interest in technology. So I think it does have a huge, that's a huge aspect of it in terms of our actual location and the people behind the team and the ownership group and things like that. I mean, if you're interested in technology, what better team to go to than the team in the Bay Area with an ownership group that's a bunch of tech people? Like, there's not a better situation, in my opinion. So I think that definitely has played a part in it.
Absolutely. So the Warriors appear to be in the midst of creating quite a basketball legacy on the court. Off it, it's a digital dynasty, you might say, that is being built. We've got to wrap things up. I'm just going to leave you with a quote that I really like from Sean Livingston, Warriors guard, which is, "All the bridges are open here. There's an open forum of ideas. A good idea really can come from anywhere, and that kind of thinking has to start at the top."